Palawan is known mostly for El Nido and Coron, perfect islands, dramatic cliffs, powdery sand with the clearest turquoise waters. It's already a well-known area, its islands often cited as being part of some of the best beaches in the world. But this thin sliver of land still has lots to reveal. From culture to nature.
Look at how beautiful this river is.
And roads less traveled.
This video will serve as a guide for some of the cool spots in between Puerto Princessa and El Nido if you're driving in.
Travel is becoming more accessible, and with that, the places you once loved because of their peaceful isolation might be getting crowded. But that doesn't mean there's nowhere else to look. The Philippines is a country filled with adventure, from the mountains to the sea. Grab a car and create your own journey. This is Going Coastal.
We just got to Puerto Princessa. I actually remember this when it was a tiny airport. My dad used to have an office here, so I'd come a lot to this city. And there was always one thing that I did when I arrived, regardless of the time of day, and I'm gonna do that right now.
It's a dish that keeps calling me back for more and spells comfort and would surprise you for being so popular in this town.
But before that happens, we are gonna grab our wheels for this trip with Hertz over here at the Canvas Hotel. Oh my God, it's so cute, I wanna die. Come and see my room. Whoa.
Back to the food. There are lots of different Vietnamese-influenced restaurants here selling the famous chow long noodle soup, but I've always preferred coming to Rene's. It isn't common knowledge that many Vietnamese people migrated to the Philippines to escape the Vietnam War in the 70s. They settled mostly in Palawan and integrated with the society here. Eventually, they set up businesses and lots of these noodle houses. There used to be a thriving community here 2,000 strong called Vietville, but now it's mostly a ghostly remnant of the past, as people have moved on to other places.
I look for chow long. It's a Vietnamese style soup. It's like a beef noodle mess that it looks absolutely delicious and just spells out all the levels of comfort that you would want. And it's always the first thing I look for here. And that with a particularly interesting looking sandwich that would probably remind you of a banh mi.
With happy bellies, we then headed over to Palawan Brewery. They've been in business for 7 years now, and it is one of the only and first all-female brewing teams in the country.
I think it's gonna become a thing that each time we come to provinces, we're gonna try the local breweries. I love that Palawan has its own little brewery happening here. I'm gonna go for the Palawan. That's good. Exploring, discovering, and just taking it easy. Now we are on our way to meet someone who's going to take us towards the Batak indigenous people. They have a really cool kind of like village deep in the forest, and so we're just going to go up, hike there, and see what we can see. We are now starting our trek towards Kalakasan village, which is not too far from Puerto Princessa, about an hour away. We're just securing all the guides that we need to go up, because obviously when you want to visit indigenous people, and these are the Batak people, you really need to be extremely respectful and just ask around to get proper guides and stuff. So it'll be an hour and a half hike up, and I'm just really excited to kind of just discover how they live in the mountains.
The Batak tribe is said to have arrived in Palawan about 50,000 years ago. Only a few communities are left, but you can still visit them, but you'll have to cross lots of rivers and jungles. They live mostly in isolation and have kept most of their traditions alive. We visited one about 2 hours north of Puerto Princessa, and an hour-long hike took us through some amazing terrain. Once there, we found a small village tucked around the river. Lots of young children running around as their parents tended to the food and their surrounding farmlands in the hills. It's a simple life that they are fighting hard to keep going, as they're constantly under threat of losing their cultural identity. All those river crossings were like little teases, cold fresh water just begging to be jumped into to run away from the humidity.
This river has been calling me since a while ago. It's been really hot, so this is gonna be a world of good. Oh, it's cold. Let's go. You guys should go in, it's so nice and cold. We're all freshened up now. This drive should take us about 2 hours, and this is why I love driving in the provinces in the Philippines, because you get to discover so much more.
All the roads on the island were surprisingly really good, and most of them are being expanded into larger highways.
It's nighttime, but we finally made it to Port Barton, and it's quiet, but there's some cool bars all around. I am just starving, so let's get some food.
Port Barton is like the little brother playing hide and seek with his big sister El Nido. It's a shy little town that has its own bay and beach that is nice and wide and isn't yet too crowded. It has the energy of a tourism spot without all the pitfalls.
What I love about Port Barton, and this is my second time here actually, it kind of has a cool vibe that you'd be looking for when you're on vacation and stuff. You don't want to be in complete solitude, you don't want to be alone, but you want a spot where there's some bars, there's some restaurants, there's some comfort, there's some resorts, there's people, but it's not as busy as El Nido or Puerto Princesa or Boracay or Coron, so it feels like a really kind of special place.
There's a good variety of different restaurants, hotels, inns, and there's enough space for people looking for relaxation and those looking for a good time.
It's around 6:30 in the morning. When I go to the beach, I like staying in simple places. We're at CXJ Travelers Inn, and it's just a really cool spot because you're higher up on the hills, so it's nice and cool. You don't even need aircon or anything like that. And we're staying in these like Bahay Kubos, which are really nice. This actually reminds me of when we used to go to the beach as kids, when these were the resorts that were all over the place in the Philippines. So it's such a cool throwback. All right, so now we're gonna load up because we got a big day with lots of activities planned. Just need to find some good coffee somewhere.
The day can officially start. I got my espresso.
Yummy.
This is the kind of food that you want to eat when you're at the beach. We've got some shakshuka, we've got some eggs and avocado on toast. I'm being my basic self. A nice little tomato salad. So good. So we're gonna load up with all the food, and then we're heading to the islands.
Another great thing about this bay is that most of the islands that you might want to visit are all about 20 minutes away by pump boat, making island hopping that much easier. Unlike other places in Palawan where the trip durations may be longer, we were lucky enough to find one where there was no one else, so we settled in and started prepping our lunch.
When you're lying wide awake, counting every mistake, do you hate what you've become?
Gotta love island cooking. Let's see what the boys have prepared. This is Kuya Prince, the superstar at Port Barton. So we got some lobsters, which were just boiled, some talong, which is probably gonna go with soy sauce. Yeah, soy sauce and vinegar. Okra. If you come to the Philippines, people will always prepare these things called boodles, which is just rice with a bunch of seafood and whatever's ingredients are available. And I'm gonna cook the squid, because I feel like it, and it's gonna be really tasty. Just gonna place these on the grill.
Usually with squid, you want to cook it fast so it doesn't get rubbery. The fish is almost done, so. Decided to contribute a little bit because the guys were working so hard. So a little bit of squid, some brown sugar, some vinegar, some calamansi, some soy sauce, and it looks beautiful. Grilled and then fried. So let's put this on the table. Let's eat. All right, I'm gonna teach you how to make the perfect boodle plate. You can use your hands, but I like to eat them on banana leaves like this. This looks beautiful. This fish with the thick skin is probably one of my favorite things to eat. Super tender. That salted egg and that aubergine or eggplant. And then the squid. Look at that beautiful baby. I'm sure everyone watching this right now is like super jealous. Dip that in some soy sauce. Hell yeah, baby. This is the life.
Shattered little pieces scattered round, 1,000 maybe more. And as I reassemble one by one, I know. Why still my arms are open, my heart open, 'cause everything is born again.
We were suddenly hit by torrential rain on our way back, so we rushed back to our inn and packed up all our stuff to further explore San Vicente. We were told to drive about an hour and a half north towards Alimangan Beach. The San Vicente coast is filled with sleepy towns and breathtaking coastlines.
So guys, apparently there are waves in Palawan. We are in this beach, still in San Vicente. We drove about an hour and a half from Port Barton, and there are baby waves, but I'm gonna grab a longboard and I'm gonna get in. I'm so excited! So good!
That was a really fun little surf session. Now we're gonna try and catch the sunset and do a little off-roading on the beach.
This is what Palawan is all about. If we weren't driving this, we would definitely not have seen this beach because not a lot of people pass through here. There's not a lot of development. And it's just a gorgeous stretch of white sand. I believe it's one of the longest stretches of white sand in the Philippines. And we're just gonna wait for that to come down a little bit because it's just fantastic. Tomorrow's our last day already, and I already feel sad about it.
This area still isn't quite developed, so it feels like a secret paradise. There are a few hotels opening, and we heard that there are lots more on their way. So right now would be the perfect time for you to visit. Early in the morning, we loaded up once again and drove towards Taytay to make a quick stop at the Santa Isabela Fort.
In the 1600s, this was a place where a lot of priests lived, and then the Spanish in the 1700s turned it into a fort to fight off all the Muslim pirates that were coming down through this strait. It's a relic of the past that has been restored recently in 2018, but it has a very strong message for the future and the present because Palawan has always been a very important economic and military strategic location in the Philippines, but also in the wider oceans surrounding the country, which is why today you have problems with the Scarborough Shoal. It's again, like I said, a relic of the past, but with a very strong and current significance.
After 2 hours, we finally reached El Nido. This is the famous jumping off point for all the beautiful islands you see on postcards. As such, it is already quite popular and filled with tourists. However, there are about 45 islands in Bacuid Bay, so there are always ways for you to find your own slice of solace. Instead of joining island hopping tours, I would recommend talking to locals, renting a boat, and crafting your own itinerary. One of my favorite ones to visit is Cadlao Island. If you want to stay on the mainland as we did, there are lots of different coves to explore. If you're looking for cool bars and hotels, you can check out Korong Korong, Leo Estate, and Marimegmeg. If you want something a little quieter, go north towards Duli, Verde Safari, or Mariposa Beach. We didn't have much time, so we stopped a little bit before at Nakpan Beach.
El Nido is a really kind of busy part of Palawan, but you can still find some coves and some beaches where there's still not too many people around. We have other spots like Marimegmeg where you have lots of bars and restaurants opening. It's a really cool place, especially if you get to kind of discover the mainland, aside obviously from the beautiful kind of like rock formation islands you have off the coast. This is it. This is the end. This is our last stop.
We made it to the El Nido airport, last stop, dropping off our car back at Hertz. So that's the end of our story. So now it's time for you to start yours. Is that corny? It's super corny.